Shamanoaks, exploring the rabbit hole.
Are precognitive dreams real? Is it possible to dream about a future event, like a death of a family member, and have it come true? Is it possible to dream about something like an invention or a song and apply it to your life and make you wildly successful? Here's 7 examples of people who did just that. Number 1. Paul McCartney said he got the melody for the song Yesterday from a dream. One day he woke up and he had this melody just playing in his head that he heard in his dream. And for weeks he's thought, this can't be mine. Like, I had to have heard it from somewhere. So he kept playing it for people, showing people, saying, hey, where have I heard this before? I had to have gotten it from somewhere. Everyone was like, never heard it before. So eventually, after 2 weeks, he thought to himself, well, hell, I'll write lyrics to it and make a song out of it. And they did. It was the hit song Yesterday. And the crazy thing about it is that it's in the Guinness Book of World Records for the most covered pop song of all time. Over 3,000 people have covered that one song, and it all came from a dream. Number 2. Mark Twain had a dream once that his brother died. He woke up in his dream and walked into a room. And in that room, he saw a large metal box with his brother laying inside, wearing a suit that he didn't recognize. His brother was dead, laying in a coffin, in a suit he didn't recognize, and a big bouquet of white roses laying on his chest, with a single red rose at the top, or in the middle. He woke up from this dream in a panic, going, wow, that was so real. My brother's gonna die. And he kept freaking out about it. He ended up having to go on a walk and walk around the block or wherever he was to get his mind off of it, trying to remind himself, hey, this was just a dream. It's not real. He told everyone in his family. Everyone in his family was like, relax, Mark, it's cool. It was just a dream. So a few days later, they were on a river. They were going to go on this river cruise, him and his brother. They ended up getting separated. They had to take 2 separate boats. And the one boat that his brother was on, the boiler exploded and ended up killing him. It mangled and burned so much part of his body, but his face was left perfectly fine. The ladies that were taking care of him and taking care of the body noticed that they took pity on him. They realized, look how young and attractive this guy is. We feel really bad for him. We're going to put him in the nicest coffin we have, which was a metal box. At the funeral, Mark Twain walked in and saw his brother laying in a metal box just like his dream, wearing a suit that someone else had borrowed. So 2 things from his dream were true. Metal box, borrowed suit. But he goes, okay, well, there's no flowers, so that's cool. But as soon as he said that, a lady walked in with a bouquet of white roses, laid it on his chest, and at the top of the roses, there was a single red rose. So he dreamt his brother's death, or his funeral, to the exact flower, to the exact petal. Pretty crazy stuff. Number 3. James Cameron, the famous director of Titanic, Avatar, and Terminator, was traveling through Europe in his early 20s when he got really, really sick. He got a fever, and this fever was over 102 degrees, and he was, trying to sleep it off, trying to get better. And in this dream, he saw this dystopian future where he saw these people that were outcast and these robots, these shiny metallic robots that had taken over. And he woke up going, wow, that would make a really cool movie. And so he ended up making the movie Terminator. And if you ever see one of the opening scenes of Arnold as he's walking super slow-mo and he goes and he points the gun at Sarah Connor, that's from his dream. He said he wanted to capture the idea of a dream where it's like slow motion, where you see something coming, you want to stop, but you can't. And he wanted to get that dream, the idea of that dream, into the movie, which he did. And as you know, that ended up becoming a wildly successful film, launched his career. Oddly enough, he couldn't get anyone to sign off on the movie when he was young. So he ended up selling the rights to the movie for $1. Pretty crazy. Number 4, Elias Howe. Elias Howe invented the sewing machine, but for months he could not figure out how to get the needle and the thread to work properly. One night, he dreamt that he was in Africa and he got captured by a group of cannibals. They threw him into a large boiling pot of water to cook him and eat him. He kept trying to get out of this pot, but every time he tried to get out of the pot, tribesmen would stab him with a long spear, pushing him in the chest, pushing him back down the boiling pot of water. Happened time and time again. Eventually, he woke up from this dream, terrified, but then he thought to himself, whoa, this the spears, they had holes at the front. I'd never thought of putting holes at the front of the needle on the sewing machine. I wonder if that would work. He tried it, it worked, and he became wildly successful. He became the second richest person in all of the United States because he invented the sewing machine. Pretty wild. Number 5. JoJo Billingsley, a vocalist for Lynyrd Skynyrd, had a dream one night that she was on a plane. She saw the plane crash with her bandmates, caught on fire. She heard screaming, crying, people dying. And she woke up in a panic, yelling for her mom because her mom was staying with her. And she goes, "Mom, I just dreamt that the plane we're going to be on is going to crash." And her mom was like, "Relax. It's just a dream. Get over it." And she was like, "No, it was so real. Like, that was more than a dream." And the next day, they were supposed to all take a plane together, and she refused to get on the plane. She told her bandmates, "Hey, don't get on that plane. It's going to crash. I had this dream." Her bandmates were like, "You know what? It's just a dream. Relax." History shows they got on the plane. It crashed. 3 of them died. So, saved her life. A dream saved her life. Number 6. Stephenie Meyer, the author of the Twilight series, got that whole series from a dream. She dreamt one night, saw this circular meadow, and he saw a sparkly white vampire dude talking to a brunette, young girl next door sort of figure. He was saying how much he loved her and how much he wanted to be with her, but also at the same time, how much he wanted to eat her and suck her blood. And this dream completely transformed her life. She woke up the next day and was like, "I need to write this down." And she started writing down this dream. And she's like, "I don't even want to tell anyone. I don't want to tell my husband. He's going to think I'm crazy. Why am I dreaming about vampires, sparkly vampires in a meadow?" And so she spent the next few months like writing down the dream word for word as much as she could remember. Eventually, she's like, "Wow, I've written down a lot. This could be a book." And she went to publishers. She got turned down by like 9 different publishers. Eventually, one picked it up, became one of the best-selling books of all time, sold over 70 million copies, 3 or 4 movies, and it all came from a dream. Pretty interesting. And number 7. Abraham Lincoln. You might have heard about all the weird things that happened around his death. Before he left to go to the theater that night, told his bodyguard, William H. Cook, he goes, "You know what? For the past 3 nights, I've been dreaming that I'm going to get assassinated." He goes, "I had this one dream where I walked into a room and I saw a coffin laying there and someone was dead on the inside. I asked the security guard, 'Hey, who's in the coffin?' And he said, 'Oh, it's the President of the United States.'" It weirded him out, but not enough to stop him. So on the way to go to the theater that night, he told William H. Cook, his bodyguard, "Hey, I've been having this dream for 3 nights in a row that I'm going to get assassinated." And he's like, "Well, then you shouldn't go to the theater." And he said, "Well, I'm going to meet my wife there. She's expecting me. I got to go." And the cool / weird thing about it is that he always said, "Good night, Cook," every night to his bodyguard. And this is the one time he said, "Goodbye, Cook." Pretty strange. So what do you think of this? Is it possible that people can dream about stuff and have it come true? Have you personally ever had a dream that's come true? If so, let me know in the comments down below. I would love to know about it. I've personally had a couple dreams myself. The most interesting one that I've ever had was I was dreaming I was in this room looking out through a window, and I see one of my ex-girlfriends walking by in a white formal dress with a spoon hanging off of her nose. And I thought, that's really strange. Like, I haven't seen her in years. She's married. Why am I dreaming about her? More importantly, why does she have a spoon hanging off of her nose? And then I thought, you know what, that's kind of cool. Like, I'm glad she's obviously going to some nice party, and she has a spoon hanging off of her nose, so she's being goofy. She's probably having a good time. Good for her. The next morning, I told a couple people about it because it was such a vivid dream, and I was like, why did I dream about her? I haven't talked to her in years. Such a strange thing. That night, I had DVR'd a ghost hunter show that I wanted to watch. So I started watching it, and at the beginning of the episode, they go, "We're going to go investigate this house of this lady who used to live here, and she used to collect spoons." And then right then, they showed an image of 2 little girls with spoons hanging off of their nose. And it weirded me out. I also had this thing at the time called doubles, or synchronicity, when 2 weird things happen right in a row. So the fact that it's One, I dreamt about a girl with a spoon hanging off of her nose, and then I see a picture of two girls with two spoons hanging off of their nose on the TV. It freaked me out. I paused the thing, and I'd heard about this stuff before where people dream about people dying, and I started freaking out going, oh shit, is she gonna die? So I messaged one of my friends that I work with who's into this sort of stuff, and I said, this is my dream, this is what happened, here's the picture, what do you think? Is she gonna die? And she goes, no, I don't think she's gonna die. In the dream, she's wearing a white formal dress, like a wedding dress, and she's walking away. I think it means her marriage is about to die, or her marriage is dying. And I didn't know anything about her marriage at the time, but 6 months later, she ended up getting a divorce. So it's pretty strange. The next most interesting dream I had, and kind of the reason why I'm doing this show, is that I had a dream back in November where I was at this bar just hanging out, and this girl that I know comes in crying, bawling, and she's saying, I saw my boyfriend naked in bed with this other woman. And I was like, that's super fucked up. I'm sorry. And then as I'm having this conversation, these other girls come walking up, and there's like, he did that to me too, did that to me too. And I was like, wow, this guy's kind of an asshole. When he comes, when I see him, I'll make sure you girls can, beat him up or whatever, get your revenge on him. He eventually comes into the bar. I grab him, throw him down on the ground. The girls also start kicking him, punching him, attacking him, whatnot. I eventually decide, okay, that's enough. Relax. We don't want to kill the dude. So I pull him up, and as I'm pulling him up, his blood coming out of his nose and his eyes, he's all black and blue. And he looks at me dead in the eyes, and he goes, it's okay. You're going to be dead in a year. Like, what? I'm going to be dead in a year? And he goes, yeah, everybody knows. You're going to be dead in a year. And I was just shocked. Like, then he ended up getting up and going back with the girl, and they're together. And I spent the rest of my dream thinking to myself, I'm going to be dead in a year? And it's still super vivid in my brain. Now, do I think I'm actually going to die in a year? Probably not. But if I do, I want to have it recorded. And second, it sparked, like, okay, say I am going to be dead in a year. What do I want to do with my life? And there's certain things, there's certain videos, there's certain things I want to talk about and get recorded. And so that's what this show is going to be about. This show is about all like the weird stuff that I've experienced via dreams, DMT, LSD, mushrooms, quantum mechanics, synchronicity, past lives, all things that I've experienced and that I talk about regularly with my friends. I want to kind of put out there for the rest of the world. So if this is something that you're into and you're like, I want to know what more is going on in this world, I've had some cool experiences, or I want to hear about cool experiences, then hit subscribe. Let's figure this stuff out. Cool. See ya.
Shamanoaks, exploring the rabbit hole.